Welcome to the Ice Cold Takes podcast. I'm your host, Joey DeMeglio. The Rangers have hit a bit more adversity recently. They're 8-7-1 in their last 16 games and have dropped two straight to the Canadiens and Canucks, heading into a Thursday night matchup with the Blues. Playing hooky from work and joining me today is our friend Drew Way. Drew, thanks for joining. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's okay. So one of the benefits from being able to work from home is being able to pop on and do this midday real quick. Just put a block on the calendar, go on do not disturb on Teams, and here I am. But yeah, everything's going well. How about you?
Pretty good. I mean, that's pretty good, but I don't know if it compares to, just doing the podcast from like the pizzeria and having a slice while you're watching the Rangers game. Like they pay you to work.
Sutton tells me mine pays a little bit more, but
You're right about that, probably. But anyways, last week Brennan Othmann got called up, made his long-awaited, anticipated, very exciting debut for the Rangers, his NHL debut. He played 3 games and he's already back down. A week later, he's already back down in Hartford, and Jake Lecision has been called up. Um, but I mean, let's talk about Othman a little bit first here. So, what did you make of him? I know you followed him probably because you're the draft guy. The Rangers took him in 2021. How did you think he played in his first 3 games?
yeah, I mean, I think he was fine. Like he looked like he belonged, and that's probably like the best thing you could possibly say about him at this point. Or like that's all you could hope for, I should say. At this point, it's yeah, he's not really ready for the NHL yet, but I think it was good to get him, like call him up, get him like a taste, so to speak, and let him see what it's like being in the pro environment and in that locker room and on the ice, and get some of those initial jitters out of the way now. I mean, but like I said, he definitely needs more polishing. When you frame it the way you did with and then they called up Jake Lecision, it's like, oh Christ. But I think it's totally fine to send him back down, just because you don't want like a young player to come up and then struggle, then lose their confidence or anything like that. So I think it was good just for his confidence and just for like experience, to like experience it all, get to
Mhm.
get to play, get to be around the team, get to know the team, and now he can go back down to the AHL and hopefully dominate. But in terms of his play, like it's hard to really evaluate someone. Right, it's 3 games, like 10-ish minutes a game, and 2 of those 3 games, the team as a whole was pretty poor. I mean, I think they were better against Vancouver than maybe the score sheet would dictate, but they were horrendous against Montreal for most of that game. Um, but yeah, so I don't want to make any like
Yeah.
sweeping commentary on like the level of his performance, just because like it's hard, for what is he just turned 21, I think, like the day after
Yeah.
his first game, like 21-year-old who still needs to fill out a bit, and especially with him because he plays a more physical game, so it's like it's a lot harder to translate that to the speed of the NHL. And like I said, getting inconsistent playing time, and especially 2 of the games being down a lot. And Laviolette had said, one of the reasons why he wasn't getting more time, it wasn't any indictment on his play. It was more just they were chasing the game, and so they're double
Mhm.
shifting the top couple lines. But so I think just the number one comment is, hey, he didn't look out of place, and that's all we could hope for.
Yeah, Laviolette kind of raved about him after that first game. I thought he played a very, very solid first game, the one against the Blackhawks. I thought he was
Hmm.
very noticeable. Laviolette thought so too, and he was even giving him some extra shifts. When Wheeler took the fighting major, he put Othman up on the right wing with Kreider and Zibanejad, which I thought was really neat. But this is kind of like how Will Cooley started last year. You give him a call up, cup of coffee, a few games here and there, send him back down because he was playing well in the AHL. What was it, like 23 points in 28 games before he got the call up?
Hmm.
I thought he played pretty well. A little unfortunate with the second and third games. I'm not gonna fault Laviolette. I'm with you on that. Like based on like the game scenario, the situation. Um, the Rangers needed more offense, and he went with the guys that were giving him that, which was Lafreniere, Panarin, Trocheck.
It's the second line. That second line is really the only offense we've had the
Yeah,
last month or so.
yeah. I would even argue like all season, like that's been a very consistent like line in terms of generating offense and chances. The Rangers haven't had a go-to 5-on-5 line in quite a while. It feels like.
Well, to kind of dovetail into like the next thing you had said you wanted to talk about, like, in the beginning of the season, I think the top two lines are both doing fine, but losing Kako really hurt that
Yeah.
top line,
Mhm.
and really just hurt the depth overall. And so now that second line is really the only one that's clicking.
Yeah, so, I mean, to transition to Kako, I mean, I had a little bit of a hard time, like, trying to figure out, where his impact lied this year, this season. It definitely wasn't much of an offensive impact, and at least from the eye test for me. Um, I remember last year, those first 15 games, he was very noticeable. He's all over the ice. He's drawing penalties. He was getting really, really good scoring chances, and a lot of people were just saying, he's getting unlucky. But if he would carry that same play into this year, that he would, the results would pay off. I didn't think I saw that from him. I thought I saw more of a step back, but defensively, it seems like his presence is very much missed. The Rangers were one of the better defensive teams. They were significantly better defensively when he was on the team before he got hurt than, when he came out of the lineup. Like now they're averaging, I think it's like 3 goals per 60 minutes at even strength. They're at 5 on 5, and before they were doing, like, it was, like, a little bit above 2 goals, against at 5 on 5, with Kako in the lineup, and I think that goes with when he was on the top line and then they took him off. So, the question I wanted to ask you, like, is it Kako that made the entire team so much better, or is it, like, something else? Because Kako's only one guy, like, so he can't be everywhere all at once.
Yeah, I mean, it's a combination of things. I mean, in the beginning of the season, they were playing unsustainably well. Like they were on pace almost to like borderline break Boston's record from last year, right? Like,
Yeah.
so it's like they were good. There was going to be a little bit of coming back to earth regardless, but it's not so much Kako himself, like losing just him, like, just losing his impact that does it. What it is there's a cascading effect, especially because they had such little depth on the right side already. And so losing him and then needing to put Wheeler up to the first line and then needing to play Pitlick on that line and then him getting injured, it was losing Kako hurt for sure, like you said, defensively, but also in transition. One of the things that Kako really did for that line is he helped them enter the zone. Zibanejad and Kreider are not great in terms of like zone entries and their transitional play. They're good in terms of, Zibanejad's a shooter, Kreider, net front presence, power forward. But what Kako did is he first in the offensive zone, he created more space for them because he did a lot of the board work and the battles and allowed Kreider and Zibanejad to then kind of play their own game. And then especially when Kako is on the ice and Fox or one of the other like playmaking defensemen was on the ice at the same time, that provided that element of playmaking that perhaps you'd ideally like on the right side of Zibanejad and Kako, Zibanejad and Kreider. So that made up for it a bit. But Kako is a very good transitional player, both offensively and defensively. And when you're looking at like the defensive metrics too, one thing that you see is that fell off a cliff once he got injured was our rush chances against. Before he went out, the Rangers were one of the best teams in the league in terms of defending the rush and not allowing rush chances. And since he's been out, they're one of the worst. And again, it's not just him, but he was very good in that area. And then losing him, now needing to put Wheeler up there who can't, he is what he is. He can't skate. He's still a good playmaker, but and then just the cascading effect that happened from that. So it was a combination of they were going to come back to earth eventually anyway, plus losing Kako's impact in a vacuum, and then the impact that it had on the third line, the fourth line, and everything else.
Okay, we're back.
Whoops.
Man, the internet just completely crapped out at my house. I had a wired connection too. I have no idea how that happened. There must be like an outage or something in the area.
Well,
What a
you're in
time.
Jersey. There's been all the flooding and winds and stuff, so that usually could knock something out.
Yeah, yeah. What a time for that to happen, right? Right
Yeah.
exact moment while we're doing the podcast. It was completely fine before, and then all of a sudden just completely crapped out. But let's go back to what you were saying. You were talking about Kako and his defensive impact. Why don't you continue?
Yeah, yeah, I was just saying, like he's very good defense. He's a very good transitional player, both offensively and defensively. And one of the big things that the Rangers are doing poorly now that they did well in before, going into like your stats about their goals against now, is his defensive transitional play. And when he was in the lineup, they were one of the better teams in the NHL in terms of defending the rush, and now they're one of the worst. And again, it's a big part of that is him, but also just the cascading effect of now having Wheeler as your top line right wing, and then having to put in Pitlick and all that. So it's a combination of you asked kind of what's going on with the Rangers, and was it just Kako? And it's losing him hurt, but really what hurt was in addition to losing his impact, the cascading effect it had on the lineup because of their lack of depth on the right side.
Mhm. And I bet Fox, like having Fox injured too, didn't help either.
Yeah, yeah, and Lindgren hasn't looked the same since he got injured either. And we all love Lindgren, but like I don't think even his most ardent defender would agree with us if we said Lindgren has not been himself this year. And my guess is it seems like it started when he got injured and was out there for a couple games.
Yeah, and Schneider, it looks like he's taken a step back this year. Honestly, um, I don't know. Was it a mistake that they moved on from Lundqvist instead? Because we always had that debate. Like, should they have kept Lundqvist instead of Schneider? Like the stats were there. Like we could have. Oh my goodness gracious. It's really bad. Now, like, the lights in my room don't even work.
Yeah, you want as to say, you wanna just try again another time? Because if your lights are out too, then you're probably having power issues, which means this probably
Yeah,
gonna happen again.
yeah. Uh, that's a good idea, actually.
Alright.
Let's reschedule for this.
Alright,
Sorry,
cool.
Ice Cold Takes fans. I'm gonna have to scratch something together this week, but we'll figure something out.
Alright, Joey, be good. I'll talk to you offline and figure something out,
All
but I'm
right.
here for you.
Yeah. Thanks, Drew.
Alright, man. Talk to you later.
All right.